Hello, I am Karen Day, independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator in the United States, and I blog over at A Little Kinder, and so I wanted to come to you today and share with you a card that I made because I just didn't have the time to get out everything to watercolor. So I love to watercolor. And if you've been over to the blog recently, you've probably seen that I've been talking a lot about the stamping corner. Well, welcome to it. Here you are. You are in the stamping corner. It is literally a corner in my bedroom. So there was the picture of it, and I'm not kidding. So there was my bed, and you can see across the bed into the stamping corner. So sometimes I have this really great creative vibe going, but getting out the pieces that I would need require going across the house and getting this and getting that and pulling it out. And sometimes you just don't have the time to do that. So I came up with this card, and what we're going to be doing is using the split card technique, but we're going to call this the lazy man's card. So rather than watercoloring, y'all, those are Stampin' Blends. And I am going to call this the scribble technique. And you'll see why in a minute. So let's talk a little bit real quick about what you need. You are going to need the Jars of Flowers stamp set. This one is going to be available on June 3rd. So by the time this video is up, it should just be a very few days until you can order this yourself. You're also going to need the Peaceful Moments Life is Better with a Friend Like You. To make the card exactly like I did, I have used Crumb Cake, Whisper White. This is Petal Pink. These are the retiring self-adhesive Butterfly Gala sequins. And I'm going to be really sad to see these go. I don't love the flower one so much, but these, oh my goodness. And they're self-adhesive, so I don't have to get those out. Also, I'm using the retiring rose metallic thread. This is one of my favorite. I have this in silver, and it will make appearances. It's just not going to retire in my world. I have several backups. I just absolutely love the added little bit of it. We're going to use some blends today. These are all the light marker out of the sets. So we have Greeny Apple Green, Poppy Parade, Seaside Spray, Calypso Coral, Crumb Cake, and Daffodil Delight. And again, those are the lights out of there. So we're going to use those. Since we're going to be using blends, we need Memento Ink. And so that's what we're going to stamp the flowers in. And to add the flower onto this label, you're going to need Versamark. The label is out of the new Tasteful Touches set. It's the Tasteful label dies. Let me pull these open. They are so gorgeous. I think this is why I had to have this set. Look at the dies. Oh my gosh. So, one of the things I've wished that we've had forever and ever and ever is a banner set of dies, like nesting banners, because I think that would be so, so cute. Both narrow and skinny. So like if you had cut that end off, you had skinny ones that you could put sentiments on, but also some that could be bolder. But this die set I fell in love with. And so we're using this die right here. And I went ahead and off camera, I die cut some crumb cake paper for us. All right, let's dive into this card. Give me just a second to drop some stuff over here to the side and get it out of our way. So bye-bye stamp set for a minute. Here is my crumb cake that we're going to use as a card base. I'm going to set that out of the way. All right, so let's get started. So for this card, I wanted to actually play with some of the shimmer white cardstock. And I don't know if you can see the shimmer in the house, but it's just the tiniest little shimmer. So we're going to start with Memento Ink. And we're going to ink up this stamp set. Now, I'm going to freak you out, and I don't mean to. But I promise you, when it's all said and done, you're going to love it. So we're going to start up here at the top. I have used the split card technique to get started. So there is a line right here. I think you can see that. Yes, right here that I have scored into this piece of paper. this is where we're going to work. Now, when we cut it all off, the line disappears. It's gone. And I did not cut this. This is the edge that I split to have the two pieces, but I did not trim that edge. All right, so we're going to take our stamp and we're going to start, and I'm going to go over the line just the least little bit and stamp off my paper. Oh, you know what would be even better is if I had a Stampin' Pierce mat underneath that, so with it I got a better image. So because these are photopolymer, you really do need to have some foam underneath it, and I just hadn't picked up the Stampin' Pierce mat. All right, so this is where it's going to start to freak you out a little bit, but you got to trust me on this. So I'm going to take this one, and I'm going back across the line, and now I'm going to add it, giving the ink just a second to transfer. All right, so it's across the line, and I know that that kind of scares you because you're thinking, oh my goodness, this is going to be on the bottom side of something. Trust me, trust me, trust me. You're going to love it when it's finished. All right, now, because I have those two in place, I'm going to come back, and without getting my head in the camera, I am going to add this one right here. Now, it did overlap. It overlaps on my original card right here. And it also overlaps underneath here. I promise once we get it colored and we get it on our finished card, you're not going to be able to tell. All right, so I'm going to slide this back down. And now I'm just going to fit this in right here and stamp. And now I'm going to come back on this side and do some fill-in work. So we're using that idea of the split front cord. It's really just a super, super, super quick way to get two card fronts without doing two separate cords. It's one stamping session, and then you have two card fronts. So let's see, I want to add a little something up there. So when I set this down, it's going to be on that side. Alrighty, so I only inked up part of my stamp because he's going to run off the page. There we go. All right, so now my stamping is done. Go ahead and close the Memento Ink so I don't end up with it on my fingers. Now I am going to go ahead and clean my stamp, and I'm going to leave them out because we're going to use it really quickly. We're going to go ahead and stamp the crumb cake pieces that are going to be part of our focal greeting. Okay, so I'm going to set that aside. I want to let that Memento ink dry for just a hot minute before I go to color it. I just don't want it to be wet. All right, so I'm going to take this and I'm going to stamp it right in the middle. Not too worried about where it goes exactly. And since I have two of these, because we're going to split that front, I'm going to stamp a second one using Versamark ink. Boom, boom. This is also the ink that you could use if you wanted to emboss, heat emboss. So if I'd wanted to, I could have put maybe clear embossing powder on there and embossed it. That's a card for another day. All right, so I'm going to set these two aside. Now I'm going to bring back in my piece. Now, this is where the scribble coloring comes in. So one of the things that's really important to understand about watercolor painting is that many times it's very loose, meaning that you're making broad strokes. Even in the detailed areas, it's still a more loose medium. So I'm going to take the brush tip end, and I'm holding it towards the end of the marker, and I'm just going to squiggle some color in where I think there would be green. I'm really not paying a whole lot of attention to the lines. This would definitely be a place where it's okay to color outside the lines. And I'm doing this quick because I found when I was doing the other one, if I really spent too much time thinking about it, I kind of panicked, and then I didn't want to color. I really wanted to just like get in and color, and that was not the intent with this. This one was meant to be a very, very quick card. That mimics the watercolor techniques. So here is Light Calypso Coral. And the rose that I'm going to do is this one. So these to me kind of look a little bit like poppies, and these look like roses. So again, I'm not really focused on where those lines are. I know it's kind of freaking you out. It's okay. It did me too at first. And then I was like, no, because my intent here is for this to look like a watercolor. and like it has maybe bled a little bit and that you didn't get all the little pieces. And that's okay because that's part of the watercolor look. Ooh, I did see something that will make a difference. So this leaf here is this petal here, and that one I do want to have colored. So there's that. And so now I'm going to come back. Again, I'm not really paying attention. I'm just coming in and I'm adding some color in. And if it overlaps, it overlaps. If it doesn't fully fill the flower, it doesn't fully fill the flower. So this is what I'm calling the scribble technique. Okay. And I want to really embrace the looseness of this. And that color that we just did was Light Poppy Parade. Now, I'm going to take the yellow. So our yellow is Daffodil Delight. Same thing. I'm going to hit these little buds back here. Scribble, scribble. What I like about this is it mimics the look of watercolor when you're finished. Right now, it looks nothing more than a hot mess, and you're thinking, oh my goodness, what am I watching? So I'm going to take light crumb cake, and I'm going to hit all of these little greenery things with it. Oh, and I just saw a leaf that needed to be colored. So we're just scribbling a little color on there. Kind of like if you had hit it with the watercolor. Alrighty. Now, it still kind of looks unfinished, but it looks more like watercolor. It's not going to bleed exactly like watercolor, and it's really probably not going to give you some of the layered effect of watercolor, but this is super quick. Again, I told you, I just didn't want to go get everything out. Ooh, I almost forgot to do something. So there are these little spaces, they're kind of trapped in here, right? And so I took the light seaside spray. Ooh, say that 3 times fast. And I'm just going to come in and do the same thing. Just a little. And every one of these cards is going to look completely different. And it's going to have different spaces where you think you're going to need the seaside spray. But it's just a little something. And it does lighten up as it dries. Now let's get out the trimmer. And let's split this in half and make it into some cards. Alrighty. A couple of dimensionals hanging out there. So we're going to split this at 4 1/4. That's where my score line is. And now I have 2 card fronts. Now these are full card front size. And if I want just that little bit of crumb cake to stick out, then I need to trim it. So I'm going to go to the white edge and I'm going to bring it down to 4 inches exactly. And then on the side, I think I'm going to go this way and bring it down to 5 1/4. Now this is going to nest nicely into the front of the card and give me a crumb cake border all the way around. So let me take just a quick second and we're going to trim the next one down. So if I had a lot of cards to make, let's say that I wanted to do a bunch of thank you cards or thinking about you cards. I don't know if you're sending cards right now, kind of with the state of how things are, but I sure seem to be sending a whole lot more than normal. And so this is a great way for me to get quite a few cards that are beautiful, but they were quick and easy. Another thing that I really like about this is I could stamp them all and then go in where the family is and get to watch a movie with them for the evening. So I'm not being isolated in the bedroom away from them. Now, I'm not sure that they love that, but I do like that ability to be able to do that. All right, so now I have my card fronts. And I want to show you how I did this. This is another one of those quick tips. I used the Stamparatus. So we call him the Stamposaurus in our house. And one thing that I figured out with the Stamparatus is that if I place a stamp case, we'll grab painted poppies because it's over here and not on the floor, and I place a stamp case underneath this arm, then when I go to ink, I'm not having to press down or hold it. So, okay, so that's one tip. Always put a cling stamp case underneath there. So we have a grid on the Stamposaurus. Stamparatus. And so I figured out that this image needs 3 of these squares. So 1, 2, 3, and then if I cut it, it's plenty wide enough to get the whole message. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to make a bunch of these. And I'm going to take it and I'm going to ink it up. I'm using that Memento Black again. I'm going to lay it down, press it, and now I'm going to move it. 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to slide this up. 1, 2, 3, and now I'm going to stamp again. Why does that feel like I went too far? I think I didn't pay attention to where I was. Then I'm going to do it again. And when I'm not on camera, it does go a lot faster because I don't want to mess up in front of you. All right, so now I'm going to go 1, stamp it again. And that quickly, I would have a whole page. So that is a tip for using the Stamposaurus or Stamparatus. He will forever be the Stamposaurus at our house. And then to trim these, I've got the baby trimmer. This one was a signing bonus back in January, February, March. And so I'm just going to take it. Yes, there was a safety bar. Yes, I took the safety bar off. It made me mad. And things that make me mad don't live long in this house. Notice I said things, not people. All right, and so then I trimmed those off that quick. And there is my greeting that's going to go across. All right, so if you don't have the Stamparatus, you need it in your life, especially if you're going to mass produce anything. And then the other trick that I wanted to show you, this video is being packed with tricks, is this punch. Do you have this punch? Have you seen this punch? This punch I did not get forever and ever because I was like, don't like it. It's just kind of meh. And then I saw this and I squealed. Alrighty, so I love flags. All right, so I'm going to line up the paper and I'm going to punch. And it cuts out the triangle. And then I'm going to go to the other end and I'm going to line it up and punch. And now I have a flag to go across my banner. Isn't that cool? I love that. So that punch is one that's really, really great for doing that. So now we're going to layer this up. The first thing I'm going to do is turn this over. I'm going to take a piece of tearing tape. And I'm going to put it across the back of my piece. Grab this rose metallic thread. It's yumminess. Pull a big handful off. Now here's my tip. I have big hands. I have man hands. They're huge. So I'm going to take and I'm going to spread my pinky out. And I go probably 5 or 6 times around. Take my snips. And yes, I actually do this in this order. It would make sense to take the adhesive backing off of the tearing tape, but that just doesn't seem to happen in my world. Not sure. So I want it to be a circle shape. So over here where I was holding the ends, I'm going to put down on this end. That one does not want to cooperate, so I'm going to use my scissors to get a hold of. There we go. Yeah, come on. It's going to fight me today. All right, so now what I just do is I use the tearing tape to hold the little pieces. Oh, so fun. And I just stick them down. And looky there, now you have the little pieces. I'm going to take some of our Snail Adhesive. Did you hear our snail is retiring? Oh, yes, it is. We are getting a new adhesive. And I wish I could tell you I remembered the name, but I don't. I do know we're getting 2 different kinds. One is, will match the snail. And then if you've been with Stampin' Up! Long enough, you remember the old Fast Fuse. And so the new Fast Fuse I know is called Plus. It's something plus. again, I can't get my hands on it, so I'm not looking at the name of it very frequently. And, you know, I really should know, but it's an adhesive, and then it's an adhesive plus. And so I cannot wait to get them in my hands. All right, put a few of those on there. Ooh, let's go ahead and stick that onto the crumb cake before we stick that down, because that is not going to be fun. All right, fold my crumb cake card. Find a bone folder. Crease my card. Now, one thing you'll notice is that usually when you go to fold, you get a lip, and you may not be able to see it, but you can definitely feel it. So like that doesn't want to flip open, but if I go this way, it catches on my finger. So that's going to be the front side. Grab some snail. Stick this to the front. Oh, it's so fun. And so easy. The flowers are out of the new jar of flowers, and I did the rose one, but the sunflowers would be gorgeous doing this. It just made me happy. Alrighty, life is better with a friend like you. And we're going to slide that right into the middle. Then we're going to grab some of these bad boys. We'll put one right there. So one of the little design tips that you should always keep in your head when you're doing cards is odd numbers. So 3, 5, 7, that kind of thing. It helps your eye move. And so here we have the 3 that we have put in the corner. So there it is. There is my Life is Better with a Friend Like You card. Let me get some stuff out of the way. We'll bring the original back. There it is. Put some scissors up. So there you have it. Life is better with a friend like you. So that uses the split card technique and my brand new, what I'm calling scribble technique, which is a way to make your alcohol markers look like they've been watercolored. Thanks for joining me. See you soon.